All right, everybody, welcome out to another episode of Windshield Time at Mountainland Supply. I'm Joey. I'm here with Brandon, as always, our CEO. And today, we talked about this a little bit last time, some of our EOS principles. And I think we introduced last time that our core values, when we went through them, we went through a process where we identified a bunch of our best people in our company, and we saw the attributes that they kind of exhibited and they espoused, and then we built our core values around those people. So it's really the people created our core values. We didn't create them.
Yeah. Mostly identifying who we already were. That's one thing that I loved about that process was I think other companies, when they go through that process, they say, okay, what's our core values? And when they talk about that, it's what do we want to aspire to be?
Yeah.
Right. In ours,
where are we going?
Yeah, we want to have integrity, or we want to have courage.
Mm-hmm.
And where I think for us, it was, who are we? What are the things that make us who we are?
Who are we at our best?
Yeah.
And then you hold yourself to your own standard.
Yeah. Look at our best players,
Mm-hmm.
our rock stars, as we would call them, and say, okay, what are the qualities that they have?
Yep.
And that whole board, I mean, it was chock full of different ones. And
yeah, there was 60 or so on when we first started.
We brought it down to the 6, which was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool process. Took a lot of mental power to be able to power through that.
Yeah, a little exhausting by the end of the day.
But it was a good exercise.
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about the first core value that we have listed, and that's courage. I think I really like courage because I think that all the other core values kind of play off of it. And in my eyes, courage kind of has a double meaning. Courage is the courage to have a difficult conversation, or the courage to stand up for what you believe is right also. But then I also think that courage is integrity and courage to do the right thing when nobody's looking.
Yeah. I read a quote yesterday, I think St. Augustine. Right is right, even if no one is doing it, and wrong is wrong, even though everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
And I saw that yesterday, and I had that thought. I'm like, how there's been a few instances in our careers that we've had here at Mountainland that, right's right, no matter what. And sometimes you have to have courage to be able to say, you know what, even though nobody else is doing it, I'm going to do it.
Well,
we're going to stand up, and that's who we are.
It's kind of like your North Star. You're like, hey, it doesn't matter what this circumstance really feels like. Right is right.
Yep.
And truth is truth, and we have to have integrity. And if we don't, then everything else doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
If we're not honest with ourselves about, who we are or who a person is, then we've lost everything.
And it's kind of a true test for me. I remember first starting here and looking at it, and there was a few examples I had, I should say, early on my career here at Mountainland that it was going to be interesting to see how people react to a situation.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the defining moment of, wow, most people wouldn't do that, but wow, this leader in our company is going to stand up and do that. Okay, I'm totally for that. That's who I am. That's my core. That's what I believe in. So, man, if they're willing to do it, this is who I want to be with.
Yeah.
I can follow that right there, and I think that's for me personally, that's why it's probably one of my most favorite ones. I love core. It's like my kids, right? I don't have a favorite. I love them all equally.
Yeah,
but this one has probably had more, it's had a significant impact on me, this courage to be able to have I'll tell you a quick story, an example. Maybe I think we have time. Courage. And most of you have maybe heard me talk about this, but we had an instance a few years ago on our HVAC side. And this was working with our largest supplier. So it's, I won't say the name out there, but it's our largest supplier. And this is the largest supplier company-wide.
by a long shot.
And found out that we weren't doing something that was probably right. The quote that I told you, right is right, even though no one's doing it, and wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Well, what we got told was everybody else does this, so we're going to do that. But if you read, our contract with them, you're not supposed to be doing this. And it was really a defining moment of, hey, what are we going to do? And I remember Brent Anderson at the time. I mean, probably a guy, greatest example of courage, in my opinion. He says, hey, it doesn't matter. We're going to do this. We're going to clean this up, and we're going to go talk to him. And so him and myself and another gentleman, we got on a plane, flew to their headquarters, and sat down with them. And I just remembered that day sitting at the table, and they're just like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? And we had to tell them, like, basically, we've been doing this wrong. Yep. And it's impacted your business now. And that was, going into that. I remember on the flight home, Brent and I talking, and, we're talking, how did that go? How did you feel about it? Things of that nature. And really, there's a discussion of, we might not be able to sell this anymore. They might boot us. And that's a significant portion of our business. And if we don't have that vendor, we're game planning, like, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
What's plan B? What's plan C? What's plan D? And it was, I shouldn't say scary. I had this confidence of, I know we'll figure it out. But it's one of those, it's like, holy cow, like this could have a significant impact on our business.
Well, a lot of it's out of our control.
Yeah.
It was the decision for them to come to and not us.
Yeah. And fortunately, I think they took a look at this and they saw, hey, you guys, you have courage to come talk to us. You have integrity to be able to try and clean this up with us. There was an onslaught of like 9 months of working with them and them digging into all of our records and everything like that. And it was a pain in my butt to be able to, because I had to deal with them and had to go through all that audit with them. But it was, I think, at the end, our relationship with them, actually, we got closer with them, and the trust level even went up more because they knew that, hey, no matter what, this group right here, they're going to have the courage to be able to do what's right, no matter what. So that was a huge one for me. That it was like, okay, this is the company I want to work for. If they're able to do that and risk this type of a decision for their business, I'm totally on board for working for a company like that.
Well, I think it works the other way too with our customers. I remember when I was back in sales, we had a contract with a large coal mine that I was selling to, and it was for pipe, and they would buy the same pipe every couple weeks, but we would bid it to them for like a year and a half supply. And then we would hedge buy, and hopefully we bought right, And I remember that I did this contract, and I did it at a certain margin, and then we bought the pipe, and our margin went way up, like significantly up. And I remember going to their head buyer and saying, hey, listen, I know that we just did this contract, but this doesn't feel right that we just did this, and I thought we'd be making this amount of money, and we're going to never be really making this amount of money. And really the market is dictating where we can price it. And I don't want you to think that we're taking advantage of you. And we ended up renegotiating, kind of meeting halfway. But that single moment kind of solidified my opportunity to sell to them for a long time.
Yeah.
James Calvert has a saying, you can only kill a sheep once, but you can shear it every year. And that's something that we do with our customers constantly. We don't want to just go in for one sale. We want to build a relationship. And being honest and having integrity and courage can help that to be a long-standing relationship and not just a fly-by-night relationship. So
it's long-term. It's a long play on this. And people have long-term memories.
Yeah.
They remember stuff like this. I mean, you look at COVID, and just with pricing and everything like that, I remember I had to buy a car through COVID, and that was hard. And I was talking to the dealership, and I was like, so why are you selling this for? Because it was significantly cheaper than anyone else. And they said, look, we understand that people remember this moment, and they'll keep coming back to us. But if we try and gouge them right now, we'll never get them back again.
Yeah.
I'm like,
smart.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
the way to do it. Unlike everybody else is doing it this other way, but you're doing it, in my opinion, the right way. So, and guess what? They live like 2 hours away from me. I'd go buy another car from them, hands down.
Of course you would. Absolutely.
Because they treated me right.
I think that also translate to inside our doors. employees having the courage to do the right thing when we're not looking, because
Yeah.
we can't look at everything, and we have a company full of owners, and so we expect everybody at this company to treat it as if it is theirs. And even though we can't watch everything all the time, we don't feel like we have to, because we employ people who should be responsible and should be worthy of the trust that we impart in them.
Yep.
And I think if everybody can believe that the person next to them is working with courage and integrity, then everything just goes better, because then they feel comfortable in this company and they feel comfortable kind of putting their name to it.
Yeah, totally agree. This is your company, and hopefully you do right by it.
Right.
And we trust you that you will.
Yeah.
So
that's courage. So
love it.
We'll see you next time on another episode of Windshield Time, and we'll talk about another one of our core values.
Sounds great. See you, everyone.
Thanks, Brandon.